Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I'm very honored to have an organization and a gal who's working with a group. The organization's been around 100 years, and right. Breathe, California, Margo Sidener. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very honored to have you. The group does amazing work, and I was doing a little research yesterday, and I didn't realize all the history with it. And,
yes.
But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you've done. And
Okay, I grew up in a tiny town in southern Illinois.
Nice.
And I went to University of Illinois. That's where I got my undergraduate degree. And then I moved when I got married to upstate New York and got my graduate degree in a small college, Russell
You don't
Sage.
have an accent from New York. You don't have an Illinois accent.
No, I just go with the flow. Wherever I am, that's what I sound like. When I go back home to visit, I fit right in again with my southern accent. But at any rate, I've been around, then I came here. And I had intended to teach school, but I got here right after Proposition 13 passed. And
wow.
So
Was it like 78?
Yes,
77?
that was a long time ago.
Okay.
And so I started volunteering with the agency, and soon they had a part-time job, and I took that, and I've moved up, and I think I've had all the jobs. Now I'm the CEO.
So Breathe California is a huge organization. It does amazing work. Tell us about it.
It's only huge because we have 800 volunteers. If you look at what we accomplish, you would think, wow, how did they do that with 13 staff?
800 volunteers.
Yes.
And 13 staff.
And 13 staff.
That's wow.
So, and it's never the same. Every day is different because we're really responsive to our local community and whatever is happening there. So we're grassroots, and that's why we have so many volunteers.
Well, let's bring up the first slide too, because we have pulled the mission statement off of it, and you had so much great information up there. So let's bring that up. So here's your mission statement. I love this, and
thank you.
People need to go to your website and read all the information that you're doing, because it's just amazing. We can pull that down. So you work on different things at different times.
Tell
us what you're working on.
And as you will note, it says we work with our communities to promote lung health. So we have tons of wonderful partners in the community, which we can talk about later. But our vision is healthy lungs in a healthy environment. So because your lungs are open to the environment, they're quite unique. And that's why our mission has to be especially broad, because everything affects your lungs. They're open to infection, they're open to irritants in the environment, they're open to allergens in the environment. And so it's a pretty big spread of jobs. And we need a village to keep your lungs healthy. So that's why we have so many volunteers and so many different kinds of programs. But our core programs are in tobacco control, because that is a big deal still. That's the number one reason that people have lung disease still. Clean air, which certainly here in California is very, very important. And lung disease, that is anything from asthma to tuberculosis to influenza, and trying to have people get their flu shots. Hope everyone does that. And then just community health. We are out there working to have a general awareness of community health. One of the things we're working on now, for instance, is getting kids to walk and bike to school, because it's good not only for the individuals because of the obesity epidemic and so on, but also for our communities, because there's so many traffic snarls and all of that polluting air pollution out there.
I know a couple of friends of mine a friend from the USGBC who they were trying to do the human bus, where they have one parent and one parent, so the kids are walking to school, but they're not alone.
And we're working with one school in the Alum Rock School District. We're working with a volunteer who's trying to set up one of those walking school buses. And
Which on rainy days, which we don't get a lot, you can't get the human bus going, but,
right.
but there you go.
But most of the time, in fact, I grew up in the Midwest. You actually can walk in weather. That's a little known fact in California. But
we just don't like to.
I know.
We're a little spoiled like that, right?
The main reason that some areas want the walking school bus as opposed to just walking and biking to school is because of safety.
Right.
And in the particular school district that I'm thinking of, we have a safety issue that there are a lot of major streets there and no crossing guards. So that's one of the things that we're working on recently. That's community need.
So the history of it too. I wasn't aware that it actually was tuberculosis that actually started. That's one of the reasons that it started. Let's bring that first slide up right now too, or second slide. So here you've got people smoking, right? 100 years ago, this was the norm. Let's bring the next slide up too. And then here we've got some guys in the military actually holding each other's, I love that, cigars or cigarettes or whatever's in their hand. We can bring that down. So, that used to be the norm, and you go to other states, and it's still the norm. Like, I can't stand when I go to Nevada.
It's gradually changing, but
we
were
the trade
first.
shows in Nevada, and people are setting up the trade shows, and they're smoking on the trade show floor, the union workers,
And did you notice that even in the smoke-free casinos, you have to walk through everything to get, and you have smoking anyway?
Oh, yeah. And then there's a new law here, right, that 30 feet.
Yes, we're so jazzed.
But you still see people, in parking garages and,
But it'll take hold.
Yeah.
It took us 7 years to get that passed. So
it's so great.
Please.
Yeah, it's great.
It's taking hold. In fact, we've given out, we just did a report for the city because we're helping them by giving out information and outreach. And we've given out 1,331 signs.
Wow.
So wherever you go, if you're doing outdoor dining or service lines, or if you're in a multi-unit housing complex, which is something very important, you should be seeing those signs there that say no smoking 30 feet from the windows and no smoking outdoors here.
So going back to the 800 people, so is it basically the Bay Area, or are there other facilities around the state?
We have 5 Breathe California units,
Okay.
but those 800 are our volunteers.
Okay.
So our volunteers cover Santa Clara, San Benito, and parts of Alameda County.
That's a big area.
It is a big area.
San Benito, is that like Modesto?
No. San Benito is actually only Hollister is of any size.
Okay.
And then there's San Juan Bautista.
Yeah, most of it's just kind of country.
Most of it is country.
Okay, but it's still a big territory.
It is, and a lot of people live there and commute in here. So
which is part of an issue too, right?
Yes.
The car. So going back to that, so you've got 5 areas in California. Are they as big a volunteer base then too?
Most of them, yes. They have to be in. They cover Los Angeles area, San Francisco, but San Francisco, we go up a certain point, and then San Francisco goes up to the Oregon border. Then they also, we have one in Central Coast and Sacramento.
Okay. Yeah, so those are all pretty, San Francisco particularly populated, and then the LA area is a huge area to cover.
Yes.
So they have probably about the same amount of volunteers.
So we all have to have that many volunteers.
Otherwise, it just, it wouldn't work. So going back to the history of the, we've got the
TB.
The TB, and then the 100 years of, people smoking and the culture and cigars and what have you. So that's changed a little bit.
It's changed a lot. Even just the 30 years that I've been here, it's changed a lot. I just celebrated my 30th year last week of being a staff person there.
You're kidding.
No.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I volunteered a year and a half, and then I went on staff. So I've been there a long, long time, and I've seen tremendous change. But when our organization was formed, it was formed to fight tuberculosis. And that's because at that time, tuberculosis was responsible for 1 of every 8 deaths.
It's huge, yeah.
It was huge, which now, ironically, tobacco is responsible for about the same number.
Well, and I was reading online, and it looked like there was a little bit of an uptick in some tuberculosis as well.
There have been many upticks. We still fight tuberculosis. In fact, our agency is one of the founding agencies out of two. The other is AACI, Asian Americans for Community Involvement, that founded the Tuberculosis Prevention Partnership.